All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, thank you so much for coming to our Food Scrap Drop-Off Bins project meeting. This is our second virtual information session. And so during this time, we're going to share with you about the project and also ways that you can get involved in the project and answer any questions you may have after this presentation. So if you're on your phone or computer, there's a taskbar at the bottom of the screen that says Q&A. So anytime during the session, you can click on that and submit a question, and we will be answering those at the end. Don't be shy. You can submit a question at any time. And after the session, from both this session and our previous one, we'll compile all those questions and also provide those answers and post them online in case you want to go back and reference those. So we'll go ahead and get started. Next slide, please.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the meeting. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Mallory Lawson. I am the temporary compost program coordinator at the city, and I will be doing most of the talking tonight.
So just some quick meeting norms. It's a little different when we're in person, but we always like to remind people, even virtually, that during these sessions, we're here to learn and to avoid speculation or negative intent. Whenever you have a question or concern, please remember to critique the idea and not the person presenting it. And most importantly, to use thoughtful language so that we can have great collaborative conversations. One of the most important parts of any city project that we do is the public engagement. Everything that we're doing here at the city is for the residents that live in the city, and we're unable to hear from our residents if we don't do public engagement. So that's what we're here tonight to accomplish. This is only one of the many ways that we will be doing engagement throughout this project. But tonight we are here to introduce the project plan to you, answer questions, and Mallory will show us later how you can leave input on our website so that we can find out where you would like to see a food scrap bin. So again, I've introduced myself. My name is Jasmine. I'm the community specialist. You've already met Mallory, who will be doing our project introduction and answering questions tonight. And lastly, we have Sarah. She's not here with us this evening, but she is our resource recovery manager. Her information is also listed on our website if you have any questions directly for her. So quick overview of what we'll be doing this evening, introducing our project with our goals and values, sharing with you how you can actively engage in this project with our engagement activity online, and then of course, answering all of your questions. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Mallory and she'll get us started.
Thank you, Jasmine. Okay, so before we dive into the details, I just want to take a moment to highlight a few of our goals and values around waste that have guided this project. First, we have waste reduction, which not only refers to reducing waste sent to the landfills, but also preventing waste from being created in the first place. When we talk about landfill diversion, we're talking about redirecting the waste that's destined for landfills towards something more useful, like composting. This brings me to the circular economy. The circular economy is an economic system that generates value by reusing, repairing, sharing, lending, and promoting all activities that give goods and resources a new life or extend it. One of the ways we can support our circular economy in Ann Arbor is through composting. So we're excited to offer a new way for residents to participate in it. A nice way of summarizing these goals and values is to refer to strategy 5 of the A20 plan, which is to change the way we use, reuse, and dispose of materials. If you're not familiar with the A20 plan, it is the city's plan for achieving a just transition to community-wide carbon neutrality by the year 2030, and it guides a lot of what we do here in the city. So I just wanted to introduce that here. And then I just have one last thing to share before we get into the actual project. This graphic is from the Environmental Protection Agency, and it provides a really clear picture as to why composting food scraps is important and why we're aiming to collect more of them. As you can see here on the left side, we know that more than half of all greenhouse gas emissions that come from landfills are from wasted food. That's because food in the landfill doesn't break down the way it would in nature or through composting. It decomposes without oxygen, and this lack of oxygen creates methane, which is a really powerful greenhouse gas. By composting our food scraps instead, we're reducing our greenhouse gas emissions simply by keeping them out of landfills, but also by creating a valuable end product that, when applied to our soil, can reduce our need for chemical fertilizers, improve soil health and water retention, and even increase the soil's ability to store carbon over time. The EPA says that composting is one of the most impactful steps individuals and communities can take to reduce our trash, address climate change, and build healthy soil. So I'm guessing many of you are tuned in this evening because you're already interested in composting, but hopefully this was a nice reminder that what we do with our food scraps does matter and that through collective action, we can make a big impact. Okay, so now let's get into the purpose and need behind this project. As I just explained in the last couple slides, part of the purpose is to compost more food scraps overall, but more specifically, it is to make composting more accessible for multifamily residents by introducing food scrap drop-off bins throughout the city. The city has recognized a need for this project because at this time, many multifamily residents do not have a convenient option to compost their food scraps, and many have expressed desires for an expanded program to fill this gap. Now, just to provide some clarification here, the city does offer curbside compost collection to all single-family homes, but many multifamily homes, especially larger ones, don't currently have compost service. All residents of Ann Arbor can drop off material directly at the city's compost facility, and I can provide those details if anyone is interested. But we recognize that having a single location for drop off limits the convenience for many people. Introducing food scrap drop off bins at various locations throughout the city will bring a more convenient option for all residents. Drop off bins can be described as communal containers that are designed to collect food waste from residents of several surrounding properties. We'll talk more about the potential locations of these bins in just a few slides, but the point here is that they're for the entire community to use rather than individual properties. A key feature of the drop-off bins is that they will be access controlled, which means residents will need to register to use them. The bins will remain locked until a registered participant unlocks them for use, and then they will automatically lock again once the lid is shut. This will help keep the food scraps we collect free from contamination like plastic and trash. Our intention with this feature is not to prevent anyone from using the drop-off bins, but only to ensure that they are used properly. This brings me to my next point. The bins will be accessible 24 hours, 7 days a week. Residents will be able to unlock the bins by entering a 4-digit code into a keypad or by using a smartphone app. I'll talk more about this during the next slide, but at this point, we can't say for sure whether residents will have both options, a keypad and a smartphone app, or just one of them. And lastly, another key feature of food scrap drop-off bins is that they provide a secure enclosure around a curbside cart. So these enclosures will prevent odors, pests, and rodents from becoming an issue. Oh, skipped. Well, we aren't the only city that's expanding composting through drop-off bins. Places like New York City, Boston, and Washington, D.C. have already started their programs, but they each look and work a little differently from one another. In New York, the bins are Bluetooth enabled, so they can be unlocked through a smartphone app. In Boston, the bins are unlocked by entering a 4-digit code into the keypad on top of the bin. And in Washington, D.C., residents have the choice of using the keypad or an app. So I'm going to play the short video that shows a DC resident using one of these bins, but just as a heads up, there will be no sound, but that's okay. I'm going to cue this video. So here in the beginning, they're just showing that there's a map with all of the bin locations so you can locate the one closest to you. Once you're there, you can either unlock it from the app or enter the 4-digit code like they're showing here. Now you can open the top with your hand, or as you can see, you can use this foot lever to raise the lid, and then they just dump in their food scraps and they're good to go. So I show these programs because they provide good examples of what the drop-off bins may look like in Ann Arbor and how they might work. As I mentioned earlier, we can't say exactly which one our program will be most similar to at this point, but we do know that they will have at least one of the unlocking options that you just saw, so a keypad or a smartphone app. As the name suggests, these drop-off bins will be aimed at collecting mostly food scraps. So this will include all of your plate scrapings, dairy and eggs, meat and bones, fruits and vegetables, including the pits and peels, breads, grains, pasta, and rice. These bins will also be accepting coffee grounds and paper filters, as well as the paper bags people may use to collect their food scraps. And lastly, cut flowers and houseplants are also acceptable, but large amounts of yard waste will not be accepted in drop-off bins. If you have yard waste and don't have curbside collection, this material can be dropped off at the city's compost site for free if you are a resident. Okay, so moving on to the timeline of this project. In April last month, the project was made available to the public through the city's engagement website. Shortly after that, we mailed postcards to multifamily residents to let them know about the project and invite them to engage, which might be what brought you here. Now we're at the beginning of May, holding these virtual information sessions and still welcoming the community's input. This engagement will continue throughout May and into the summer, at which point we hope to start finalizing the project plans based on the input we receive and begin implementation at some point in the late summer or fall of this year. So now we'll just talk briefly about some potential impacts residents might notice during this project. We do expect these impacts to be very minimal, and we'll know more once the project has been finalized, but this is what we know so far. First, you might see me or other city staff out and about surveying potential locations for the bins, but we don't expect to be making any real disturbances at this point. Once we've determined the final locations of the bins, we may require a temporary lane or sidewalk closure while they install the bins. We don't know exactly how long this installation process will take yet, but if it does require any lane or sidewalk closures, it would only be for up to 48 hours, and that would be communicated to surrounding residents and businesses. There is also a chance we'll use parts of the sidewalk amenity zone. So this is the area where things like benches, bike racks, or other public waste containers typically go. And depending on the location, there could be a loss of 1 or 2 parking spaces to make room for the drop-off bins. But this wouldn't be anywhere that parking is already severely limited. Overall, we will do our best to minimize disruptions and keep everyone informed as we move forward. That said, I want to share more about how you can stay informed throughout the development of this project. One way you can receive direct notifications is through the engagement page at engage.a2gov.org/foodscraps. This is the same page that you may have used to register for this information session. It's also where we're taking input, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And at the top of this page, you'll see a button that says follow. So you'll just want to click that and it'll ask you to create an engagement account if you haven't yet. Once the drop-off bins are installed and ready for use, we plan to notify residents in a variety of ways. So that might include more direct outreach similar to the postcards we mailed out in April. We also plan to share information at some of the great community events we have in Ann Arbor and through our general city communication channels. So now we can talk about where these drop-off bins will be located. As we develop this new program, we're planning to start with 10 initial locations, and each one will have 2 bins, so 20 bins total to begin with. At this time, we haven't decided on locations, so this is where you come in. We want to know where you'd like to see a food scrap drop-off bin. Because we want these to be conveniently located for as many people as possible, ideal locations would be places that are public and easy to access, central to several multifamily properties so that it's convenient for many, or places that you already visit or walk by regularly. We will be reviewing all suggestions to determine whether they're suitable. Among other things, this will include ensuring they're within city limits, accessible to the public, and accessible by our collection trucks. So as we move into the engagement activity, please think about spots in your neighborhood or along your routes where a bin might make sense. So this is the best part. So if you haven't already provided a suggestion, or maybe you have, but you have another idea, please head to the engagement page at engage.a2gov.org/foodscraps, or you can scan this QR code to get there as well. You're welcome to follow along as I head over to that page, or you can add your own suggestions whenever it's convenient for you after the meeting. So I'll just leave this up for a minute in case anyone wants to follow along, and then I'm going to take you through the process of submitting input. Okay, I'm gonna take this down now and switch over to the website. Oops, sorry, let me just get situated here. Okay. So, when you first get to the project page, you'll see a lot of the same information that we've already covered this evening, including that follow button, if you want to receive direct notifications in your email. And then you'll just want to provide input, you'll want to scroll down to this gray box where it says, where would you like to see a food scrap drop-off bin located? From here, you can either enter an address in this box above the map, or you can manually navigate around the map using your mouse pad or these buttons on towards the top right of the map to zoom in and navigate around. So you might want to start out by adding by searching your address. I am going to use City Hall just as an example. Um, so you might search your address and then kind of navigate around to see where it might be convenient for you to bring your food scraps to drop off in the bins. And then once you've found the location, let's say, let's just put it on the street right here. Um, this little window will pop up. And once that window is open, you will just go through a few of the questions here. So the first thing it asks you is for a comment. So this is just a brief description of surrounding landmarks or other details that might help us determine the exact location of your suggestion. And next you'll want to enter a screen name, which is just like a username, and then after that, you'll just want to enter your email address. And then just a comment here, only your comment and your screen name are available to the public. So your email address and everything after this will be private and only seen by project staff. So we have three follow-up questions. Those are you a resident of a multifamily property in Ann Arbor? And then this next question just asks you to approximate how far you live from the location that you suggested. And you can either use this slider bar to move that to the appropriate number, or you can use this box on the right side to just type that number in. And then the last question is, would you be more likely to use drop-off bins if given an individual food scrap caddy from the city? So once you fill that all in, you'll just want to check I'm not a robot and go ahead and submit it. And then from there, our project staff will be able to view it and approve it so that it is visible on the website. Um, so I think that covers it. If anybody has any additional questions about using the map feature, please feel free to add those in the Q&A, and I can, of course, come back to this if needed. So I am just going to stop sharing my screen now and bring us back to the project, to the presentation.